The best way to utilize the donated funds is to invest the money in the organization, the Institute for Community Police Relations, which will provide guidance and assistance to law enforcement agencies and will effectively reduce racial violence in policing through sustained engagement and collaborative approaches to police training. Police training on cultural diversity, human relations, and mediation management is rarely emphasized by police departments. According to an article by Lopez called American Policing is Broken, he stated that a 2006 report from the Justice Department found that police officers typically receive about 111 hours on firearm skills and self-defense, but just 11 on cultural diversity and human relations, 8 on community policing strategies, and 8 on mediation and conflict management. If the police want to renew community trust, they need to engage in substantial and sustained hours of training that will reduce racial bias. Officers need to be trained to keep the perspective in mind that risks to their own personal well-being are minimal in relation to the statistics. In an article called How Police Training Contributes to Avoidable Deaths by Stockton, he stated that in percentage terms, officers were assaulted in about 0.09% of all interactions. They were injured in some way in 0.02% of interactions and were feloniously killed in 0.00008% of interactions. Adapting officer training to these statistics doesn't minimize the very real risks that officers face, but it does help put those risks in perspective. There has been research on shooter bias, which found that during computer simulations, some officers were initially more likely to mistakenly shoot unarmed black suspects than unarmed white suspects. In the article, Police Training Could Be Key to Solving Racial Bias by Graham, he stated that researchers also found that with extensive training, officers were able to eliminate the bias, meaning that it can be reversed once it is recognized. Although it may be impossible to completely eliminate every aspect of unconscious bias, research strongly suggests that more sophisticated training could lead to more accurate threat identification, correcting for a racial bias that officers may not even be aware of. In conclusion, although getting to the heart of society's issues with race can't be solved by retraining police alone, the police might be the most important starting point in reducing racial violence through additional education of officers in the classroom and simulation training.